Mercedes W15 GENIUS Innovation Revealed. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is Mercedes might be heading towards trouble with FIA, as F1 technical expert deems their front wings cheeky and borderline illegal. The Mercedes-AMG Petronas team is a big name in the world of Formula One, and that is mostly because of the team's insane achievements over the turbo hybrid era. When Lewis Hamilton entered the Brackley outfit in 2014, everyone was skeptical of why he would choose a new seat at Mercedes over continuing at McLaren, since he had already won a world championship with the Papaya Army. However, Hamilton's bet turned out to be perfect as, between 2014 and 2021, Mercedes came out to be an invincible force that other F1 teams could never defeat. By winning 8 back-to-back World Constructors titles, Mercedes positioned themselves as one of the biggest teams in F1. However, they witnessed a giant fall from grace as soon as some new rules were introduced in 2022, and their cars had to be redesigned to comply with them. This led to several challenges, as both their racers complaining of porpoising, and it ultimately led to Mercedes getting only one Grand Prix victory in 2022 because of newcomer George Russell. 2023 was just as uneventful for the German manufacturers, as they ended a season with 0 Grand Prix victories. But the team is set to witness an all-round change, as their boss Toto Wolff has claimed Mercedes would be taking on a new route for their car development this year. And as they recently unveiled, their W15 F1 technical expert Craig Scarborough has aired his opinions about the tricky legal compliance of the new car's front wings. I'm sure there'll be some conspiracy theories and bits and pieces with people saying that it's illegal, but as far as I can see, it's a cheeky but permissible way of playing with the front wing. As the new F1 race cars of all the teams for the 2024 season are being unveiled one by one in recent times, the fans have been discussing about the various aspects of each challenger. While there have been rumors that Red Bull's latest car has attributes that are strikingly similar to Mercedes, there have also been some talks about Mercedes' latest car front wings being borderline illegal. This is because the front wings can enable Lewis Hamilton and George Russell to prevent rival cars from following them. This way, they would not be helping their opponents by giving them clean air to increase their speed. The method the front wings would use to prevent rival cars from lining up behind the W15 is known as outwash. According to the latest F1 rules, the design mandates that have been proposed have been given to prevent outwash in the first place. Thus, Mercedes would be bringing back a concept that has been outlawed in Formula One, and this is the reason why there have been discussions about the legal compliance of the latest Silver Arrows challenger in F1 Town. It remains to be seen whether the FIA, too, believe that there is something wrong with the W15, and they end up penalizing Mercedes for it. Although Lewis Hamilton is jumping ship to Ferrari for 2025, Mercedes have no intent on sidelining the 7-time champion during his final season with them. After several complaints about his cockpit seating position last year, Mercedes have finally paid heed to Hamilton's request in their W15 overhaul. According to motorsport.com, the Brackley team have moved the cockpit towards the rear of the car by about 100 millimeters. Hamilton often felt like sitting on the front wheels in the W14 due to the proximity of his seating position to them. This was also hurting the Briton, as the rear of the car was unstable. Their technical director, James Allison, cited that the cockpit issue Hamilton faced was more of a symptom of their rear instability than its cause. Still, sitting closer to the front tires hurt the 44 driver's visibility of the corner apex. So, the Brackley team needed to fix this issue come what may. For this change, they have had to rearrange and modify several aspects of the car. However, that was anyways going to happen with their big concept change on the W15. Mercedes have had to redesign its gearbox and fuel tank assembly in the rear of the car to accommodate the 100mm shift of the cockpit. Given they were already going to redesign the chassis after dropping their zero side pod philosophy, this became part of the revamp process. As Toto Wolff had promised that the W15 would be a completely new car, Mercedes have delivered on it. Looking at the visible changes, the side pods look much more like the rest of the grid. However, the race's Gary Anderson suggested that they don't seem fully committed to Red Bull's philosophy. Still, the radiator inlets are much more in line with what the Red Bull concept showcases. At the front of the car, experts have noticed a peculiar detail about the W15's front wing. One of the flaps of the front wing has a very slimmed-down, tiny thread-like connection to the nose. The second story is Mercedes to treat 2024 as Hamilton's farewell tour. Lewis Hamilton announcing his 2025 switch to Ferrari prior to the 2024 campaign has put Mercedes in an odd position in regard to how they work with the seven-time world champion. It's not common for a driver to announce a switch of this magnitude so early, although Hamilton is no ordinary driver. The 103-time race winner is statistically the greatest driver in the history of F1 and will undoubtedly improve Ferrari next year. Considering that Hamilton has his move to Maranello on the horizon, questions have been asked about how motivated he'll be for 2024 and whether he won't push to the limit. Ferrari are also a huge rival of Mercedes, something the Silver Arrows will be aware of. Hamilton's relationship with the German manufacturer is a special one, though, considering that whilst 2024 will be his 12th season with them, his relationship with Mercedes-Benz actually dates back to when he was just 13 years old. With this in mind and taking into account what Hamilton is like as an individual, Brundle is confident that the 39-year-old will be giving his all until the checkered flag in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at the end of the season, and that his motivation shouldn't be questioned. I have no doubt he will give it absolutely everything until the last lap of the last race in Abu Dhabi for Mercedes-Benz. To be wearing those overalls holding that steering wheel representing 1,500 people, Brundle said on the Sky F1 podcast. If everybody's smart, and I think they are all very smart people, they've had such a wonderful relationship together, Hamilton, Mercedes-Benz, Toto, and the team. I think they'll see it as a farewell tour. That's how I think they should and will treat it. And then wishing farewell and hope that he loses in a Ferrari. Regardless of how Mercedes treat their relationship with Hamilton this year, there will be a point where the veteran will no longer be included in conversations about car developments to reduce the information he can take with him to Ferrari. I think you've got this transition point where Lewis will stop being invited to meetings and will not understand what's going on with the development of the car and in the simulator, added Brundle. The team consciously and subconsciously will favor George. They've got to. George Russell is the one person inside the Mercedes Formula One team who will be delighted with the shock news of Lewis Hamilton's defection to Ferrari, as it gives him the opportunity he craves. The 25-year-old joined Mercedes with aspirations of it making it his domain when Hamilton headed off into the retirement sunset, if not before. There was a realistic chance of 2024 being that year, only for Hamilton to then agree a new Mercedes deal. Now Russell can stamp his authority while racing against Hamilton and set himself up as the team's focal point in 2025 when Hamilton departs for Ferrari. Russell is a driver teetering on the brink of greatness, but with a big question mark hanging over whether he will reach those heights or fall just short. The third story is there is no crystal ball to predict Mercedes' comeback this upcoming season. Naturally, Mercedes wants to go full steam ahead with their new car for 2024, named the W15, but team principal Toto Wolff is keeping a very clear head when it comes to attacking Red Bull in the battle for the Constructors' Championship. Wolff recognizes that Mercedes will need to come a long way in the upcoming season to put up any fight in the standings, which they last won in 2021 before the current aerodynamic regulations were introduced. Since the current regulations were introduced in 2022, Red Bull have been unstoppable and have shattered record after record, as has three-time world champion Max Verstappen. A euphoric effort is required by the Silver Arrows to get on level terms with the Milton Keynes-based outfit this year, something Wolff accepts. The Mercedes boss recognizes that his side's chances are very slim given Red Bull's dominance, although the Brackley-based team are feeling good about their chances. When you fall, you get back up, Wolff is quoted as saying by F1.com. And that is what I have learned most in the last 3 years. It's about the ability to recognize the learning when we fail to meet our objectives, and this is the key to long-term success. We hate losing, and that drives us. But that does not mean that we can't enjoy the challenge we have in front of us, working through our problems and what we need to do as a team. That is all part of the development. Given Red Bull's advantage the last 2 seasons, Wolff knows Mercedes must remain realistic about their chances of defeating the Austrians. On one hand, you need to be realistic about the odds of beating a team that is a fair chunk ahead under these regulations, and who got things right over the last 2 seasons whilst we have not, said Wolff. There are no miracles in the sport. On the other hand, our ambition is strong. It is Red Bull and a very successful car that are the benchmark we are aiming to beat. I do not know when that will happen. We do not have any crystal ball, but we will know soon enough how far ahead they are and the task in front of us, Wolff concluded, referring to this week's preseason test in Bahrain, which gets underway on Wednesday. It is why we saw different floors on McLaren images, and Red Bull tried to hide the side pod inlets on its new RB20 to keep the prying eyes of rivals away from what it is really doing for a little while longer. Sometimes, though, teams go the extra mile beyond disguising what they are doing by throwing a few deliberate distractions out there.